Most people think addiction is the problem. They think the alcohol, the drugs, the cravings, the habits, that these are the enemy. But I'm going to tell you something that took me years of suffering, relapsing, panicking, hiding, and rebuilding my life to finally understand. Addiction is not the problem. Addiction is the response. Addiction is the symptom. Addiction is the solution your mind created when it didn't know what else to do. And if you only attack the addiction, you will never break free. Because the real problem is deeper, much deeper. I want to take you back to the version of me who felt trapped in his own mind. I used to think I had two lives: the life people could see, where I looked functional, strong, in control, and the life inside my head, where I was terrified, anxious, panicked, ashamed, and desperate for escape. Every time the anxiety got louder, every time the fear tightened my chest, every time my mind spiraled into thoughts I couldn't control, I reached for something to numb it, something to quiet the storm. And that's how the addiction was born. Not because I loved the substance, but because I hated the feeling of living inside a nervous system that never felt safe. That's the part nobody teaches you. Addiction doesn't start with substances. Addiction starts with pain. Addiction starts with fear. Addiction starts with an overwhelmed nervous system trying to survive. Before you ever took your first drink, before you ever picked up anything. The real problem was already there. Anxiety, trauma, emotional wounds, pressure, chaos inside your body. Most people think addiction is about pleasure. It's not. People don't use substances to feel high. They use them to feel normal. They use them to escape the anxiety that feels unbearable. They use them to get a few moments of silence from a brain that is screaming. Addiction is an attempted solution to emotional pain, and once I understood that, everything changed for me. There was a time in my life when I thought I just needed more willpower. I thought if I tried harder, fought harder, punished myself more, shamed myself enough, I would magically stop craving the escape. But addiction doesn't break because you hate yourself enough. Addiction breaks when you understand yourself enough. When I finally realized that the real battle wasn't against the substance, but against the emotional pain underneath, everything shifted. Let me explain the truth that saved my life. Addiction lives in the nervous system. Anxiety, panic, trauma, stress dysregulation. These create the conditions where substances become attractive, even necessary. When your body feels unsafe 24/7, when your mind feels chaotic, when your emotions feel too large to hold, you will reach for anything that brings relief. That's not weakness. That's survival. Your brain is trying to protect you the only way it knows how. I wasn't addicted to substances. I was addicted to relief. And relief was the only thing I didn't know how to create without hurting myself. When I understood this, I stopped asking, how do I stop using? And started asking, why do I need to? That question changed everything. Because when you find the root, the addiction starts losing its power. For me, the root was anxiety. Deep, childhood anxiety that followed me into adulthood. Panic disorder, constant hypervigilance, a nervous system wired for danger even when nothing was wrong. I didn't feel safe in my own skin. I was always waiting for something to go wrong. I didn't need a substance. I needed safety, emotional safety, nervous system safety, internal safety. Maybe your root is anxiety too. Maybe it's trauma. Maybe it's pressure and responsibilities. Maybe it's self-worth. Maybe it's loneliness. Maybe it's fear of failure or not feeling good enough. Whatever your root is, I promise you this. You will never heal the addiction until you heal the pain it was built to numb. Once I finally addressed my anxiety, once I learned how to regulate my nervous system, calm my body, slow my thoughts, and deal with stress without breaking, the cravings began to fade. Not overnight, not easily, but consistently. Because I no longer needed the escape. I wasn't fighting the addiction anymore. I was removing the reason it existed. Let me walk you through how I broke free, not through perfection, but through understanding. First, I learned to interrupt the anxiety before it spiraled. Breathing techniques, grounding, cold exposure, physical regulation. When the body calms down, the mind follows. For years, I was trying to fix the mind first, but the mind is built on the body. Calm the nervous system, and addiction loses half its power instantly. Second, I learned to let myself feel emotions instead of numbing them. Sadness, fear, frustration, grief, these are not weaknesses, they're signals. When you allow emotion to move through your body instead of locking it inside, you stop drowning in it. I had to learn to express what I felt instead of escaping what I felt. Third, I changed the story I told myself. I used to believe I was an addict. That was my identity. But your identity determines your destiny. When I began telling myself a new story, that I was healing, that I was recovering, that I was building a stronger nervous system, my brain started to believe it. Your identity must change before your behavior can. Fourth, I built a future that was worth being sober for. Addiction thrives in emptiness. It thrives when you hate your life or feel stuck. So I created goals, meaning, purpose, something to wake up for, something bigger than pain. Fifth, I stopped trying to heal alone. Community, accountability, education, structure. These changed everything. Healing requires connection. Recovery requires support. I didn't need to be strong alone. I needed to be supported enough to not fall. This is what I want you to understand. You are not broken. Your nervous system is overwhelmed. You are not weak. You were never taught how to regulate your emotions. You are not doomed. You're simply running a survival pattern your brain created when it was trying to protect you. Addiction is not the enemy. It's the alarm system. It's the signal that something deeper needs attention. When you heal the root, the anxiety, the trauma, the fear, the dysregulation, the addiction begins to dissolve because the foundation it stood on disappears. So if you're watching this right now and you feel stuck, if you feel ashamed, if you feel scared or hopeless or lost, I need you to hear this clearly. You can set yourself free, not by fighting harder, not by punishing yourself, not by hiding, but by understanding your pain and healing the nervous system that has been carrying it for too long. You deserve a life where your mind is calm, your body feels safe, your emotions don't overwhelm you, and you don't need anything external to feel okay. You deserve peace. You deserve clarity. You deserve freedom. And freedom doesn't start with perfection. It starts with awareness. It starts with taking one small step toward healing the real problem, the emotional wound underneath the addiction. When I healed my anxiety, everything else fell into place. When I healed my relationship with myself, I stopped needing an escape from myself. When I learned how to calm my nervous system, I stopped craving the substances that numbed it. You can do this. You can break free. You can rebuild your identity. You can create a quiet mind, a strong body, and a life that feels safe to live. Addiction is not the problem. The real problem is the pain you carry. The real solution is healing the pain, not fighting the addiction. And the freedom you're looking for begins the moment you decide you're worth saving. You are the warrior, and this is your turning point.